most of the time it was here. There were two doctors that did the presentation. A male doctor talked to the boys, a female doctor talked to the young ladies. Both doctors left town. The school nurses were not interested in doing this. They didn't feel qualified to do it. So it stopped. They didn't do it for 4 years. Both Dr. Troughton and the Community Health Task Force put pressure on Chris Danju, who's the PPS director, to get the program back up and running. So she found a nurse, Ms. LeRae, to present the program this year. And so we brought it back. And this is the first time in a couple of years or 4 years that it's been shown. There have been other questions about the tape. There have been other complaints about it, and I think what I sent the committee was 2 written comments from Dr. Troughton, one to Pam Bodwin, one to a response to a question from the middle school nurse saying he had, in fact, reviewed the tape. He didn't find a problem with the tape. And in fact, one of the things that I read, he wondered why that particular topic had been edited out of the tape the girls saw because he didn't remember agreeing to that. So things were, what's the word I want? There was a lot of discussion last week, pro and con, and that's why I put it on the agenda. I thought it would be, we may as well have this discussion now. We have postponed the showing of the scheduled showing of the tape to the 5th grade. We have plenty of time to get it done before the end of the year, but we didn't want to go forward until this issue was resolved.
Before we get to you, I know Mr. Bowers, I think he's the only committee member this time who's seen. I don't know if you would like to speak about that.
No, I think I'll listen first.
Okay. So if you could just give us your name and address, and then.
My name is Allison Stringer. I live on 18 MacArthur Road. I have 4 children. 3 are at the little school, and I love the little school. Been very happy there. I've never been to a school committee meeting before, and I just love the school system. So I come here. While I'm not opposed to a video or a health program, and I think that the people that were with me are opposed to a portion or portions of the video program. And we were told as parents that the scope of the discussion for the children would be discuss physical changes during puberty and to stress, health, proper hygiene. The video part, the boys, now I have boys and girls, I have a son in 5th grade and I have a 3rd grade daughter, so she's going to see this as well in a couple of years. And I felt, as a mother, it had a little bit of sexual undertones to it, and I had a specific problem with them discussing masturbation. So I went and I looked, and I have brought some articles for you in the research, and there's nothing to discuss. And in my research, I went to parents.gov, and I went to American Academy of Pediatrics, and I'm happy to leave these with you. None of these things say that masturbation is a part of normal or a part of puberty. Now, I know that happens, but it's not anything that I can find in the literature as something that is a part of puberty. So many of us feel as though I actually want a health program. I've already discussed all this with my son. I have a 2-year-old, so we went through a baby, a childbirth, so we're all good with this. But I do have a problem with the masturbation part. And so I would like to see a program in place that I don't want to exempt my child out where he's going to hear about all this on the playground. I just don't feel as that particular topic has a place in this discussion. My other thing is that now none of the 6th, 7th, or 8th graders have seen it. So you're going to show it to our 5th graders, and then they're going to have interactions with these other kids that haven't seen it and possibly get misinformation from them. Because kids talk. So when I ask somebody that I have a problem, I offer suggestions for solution. And I feel as though that this could really be put on hold I'd be happy to volunteer to be on any kind of committee to find a program that would be agreeable to everybody, that would discuss the topics that are important, that goes through the stages of puberty, but that maybe it waits for our 5th graders till the fall, and they see it in 6th grade, as well as the other middle schoolers, they get up to speed, and then in September you in next fall, 2011, you, spring, I'm sorry, you reinstitute back at the 5th grade level. But I kind of feel like that isn't, you know, I just feel like, what's the rush? We haven't done it in 4 years. Why put in something that so many of us find objectionable? I also had problems with the girls' part of the video. They talk about toxic shock syndrome. It's something that you can get from using a tampon, and it says, and you can even die from it. I don't remember the specific words. And I know there are several little girls in 5th grade, mine who isn't there yet, would be asking me every day about that. Am I going to die? Am I going to die? So I felt like this was a very strong message from this video. And while you can discuss things in a more gentle way, I just had a problem with that. My other problem with the part in the girl video is there's 2 girls talking, and one looks like a 10-year-old, one looks like a 14-year-old, and they're obviously both about 13. And they're talking about their periods, and the girl says, the girl who doesn't have it asks her friend, and she says, oh, well, I actually think it's kind of neat. Now I can have a baby. Ends the segment, goes into another segment, discusses the anatomy of what happens, how women get their menstruation, and then it goes back and says, oh, but I'm not ready. But I felt like there's just such this long pause between those 2 parts, and I'm thinking of that girl with the low self-esteem, all of a sudden, oh, I can get pregnant now? Well, the video says I can do that. And I felt like that's not how you say it to a child. You say, it's your body, you're becoming a woman, you're preparing for motherhood, whatnot. But, oh, now I can have a baby. It really upset me. Like I said, I've already had this talk with my child. Will I let my son go? I may not if you leave that in. And I feel like that's not fair to him to miss out on the other part, because now he's like, I went home and told him about it. John, this is what, and he couldn't even keep a straight face. He was giggling so much. So I feel like this program just needs to be modified. I feel like we've been having it on hold for 4 years. Can't we do a good job? The thing was written in 1996. It's the most corny video I've ever seen. Like, maybe we could find something a little more modern, a little less impact. From what I understood when we were speaking with the nurse, who was excellent at talking with us, she was prepared to have this discussion without a video. So we're not saying, at least I'm not, and some of the mothers that are with me are not saying we don't want it. We're just saying we don't want this part of it or this video, because we felt that it was really over the top. So I don't want to say we want to nix it, and I think that things have gotten around. So I'm going to leave you the articles that I've researched. Like I said, coming from a fact base that this was not discussed in anything that I found. Okay.
I think what I'd like to do now, rather than have unless the committee wants, rather than have the committee comment now, here's somebody come up who wants to talk why they support it, and then we can discuss both sides. And
I did also put in my recommendations of what I would suggest,
Okay.
like timeline and all that, so I can make that too. Sure.
wait, I have someone in the.
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure. Can you just state your name and?
My name is Khadija Kurikides, and
Okay.
my children go to the middle school.
Okay.
Exactly what she said, I'm with her in that. It's just thinking of when the nurse will be showing the videotape to the boys. I would really like to see a male figure showing that part, because that person will deliver a much, will explain things clearly rather than a female. And I just want to say that I love what the school is doing. That is a great thing. But I also would love to keep my role as a parent to discuss what I feel my son is ready for. So if a child is ready for that, that's great. If a child is not ready, that is up to the parent to decide. And the parents also should not let the school handle that all on their own. It should be a two-way thing to work together.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wants to speak about or add anything more about why the other issues with this?
My name is Dana Delano, and I live at 1 Gould Street. I feel what Allison said is a big point, that we haven't shown this tape to the sixth graders up there. So these kids are in an elementary school setting with fourth graders running around, third graders, yet my son has very close friends in sixth grade that have never seen the movie. So he's now more informed in elementary school than a sixth grader at the middle, and I think that's wrong.
Okay. All right, so if anybody wants to come and speak in favor, and then the committee will discuss the pros, cons, and what we might do moving forward. State your name and your address and.
Donna Wade, 18 Parker Drive.
Kim Wyman, 11 Bing Road.
It hasn't been shown in 4 years. My son was the first class not to see it. So I have a student that's a freshman in high school now who has never seen the video. And I have a fifth grade student that is intended to see the video. And I appreciate their comments on that and on their issue of masturbation. It is, in my opinion, was mentioned in the video. It wasn't exasperated about what it is, and prior to that, they talk about wet dreams with the boys, and it's in a complete biological sense approach to it. Frankly, I think the boys are gonna not even blink, and they're not going to go to the schoolyard and discuss with their friends, because they're just not gonna talk about it. I know parents who was the last class that saw that video, and the boys came home. They asked him how the video was, fine. Anything you want to talk about? No. And that was the end of the discussion. But the world has changed a lot in the past 4 years. The internet is much more accessible. Things these kids see on TV on a daily basis, the things they hear and the music and the songs they listen to, it's all sexual overtones. How many erectile dysfunction commercials have these kids seen? I mean, if they watch sports, it's on the sports channels constantly. You know, Super Bowl, everything. I just think it's better for them to see it, hear it, and then they can go home and discuss it with their parents. I think they have the option to opt out if they don't want their child to see it. I would like to be able to have the option to let my child see it. I haven't had that before. It's not been even available. So that's my opinion. I really think that the kids need to see it. There's so much happening in the middle school these days. There are kids that are sexually active in the middle school. I mean, it's happening. They need to know.
I also agree with Donna where I respect the con side of it, where they're not comfortable with the video, but I think there was that opt-out option. And as far as the sixth grader not have seen it, and now a fifth grader has more knowledge, if you don't show it to my fifth grader, she's gonna be that sixth grader that doesn't have the knowledge. Somebody's gonna miss it. They took it off the shelf for 4 years, which I found shocking because most people I know got a health video in the fifth grade. And if you can make a better one between now and June 23rd so that my daughter can see it, great, but I doubt that's gonna happen. So I want my daughter to see this, and I feel the same as Donna, is that there is just, sexuality is everywhere. Some parents don't even feel comfortable talking to their fifth grade kids about adolescence and puberty and anything else that goes with it. My mother was one of those people. I had to find out from kids on the bus, and I can tell you I wasn't getting great information. So if I had that health film really helped me because my mother wouldn't talk about it. And for my daughter to see that, the group here of her friends, she now knows she can go to them and talk to them about this subject, because right now I've had the talk with her, but she doesn't know who's had the talk, who hasn't had the talk, and it's kind of, you can't go up and say something to somebody because you don't know if they know, and you might freak them out. So I said, don't say anything to your friends because their parents may not feel comfortable yet. But if she sees it with all her peers, I think she'll feel more comfortable seeing it. And the whole masturbation and a girl's having a baby, well, that happens and it's out there. And I mean, if you can make a better film, I see how they're uncomfortable with it, and I respect that, but I'm afraid that my daughter isn't going to get the benefit of this film, and I want her to get that benefit. So that's my opinion on it, is that somebody's going to miss it. 4 years of kids have missed it, and you know, we have to start somewhere, so
I mean,
let's start now.
my other side note on this, I did not even know this was happening until I got to the Little League